The following is an independently produced community access program. The viewpoints expressed are those of the community access producer and do not reflect those of Shaw Cable Systems. The program is presented in response to CRTC policy guidelines regulating community programming.
IceTraders.com, your online ice time connection, and Royal Sports at 750 Pembina and 650 Raleigh present the Fourth Line Hockey Show.
At the Memorial Cup, having fun in Red Deer. Today's show, Greg, is about what's going on in the back end. We got Merrick Sutter, who's an operations manager, director of operations with the Red Deer team.
Vice President.
Vice President?
Vice President.
Oh, VP, that's pretty good. And he's working for his dad, right? So he works for his dad. When he got announced at the Memorial Cup, how much planning goes into it and what goes on, especially when you have a team during the year playing in the dub, and then you get, I guess, what would I say, congratulations on having the team or the event here. You got to organize all that. It's tough.
It's like we talked yesterday with Cogs about having the team behind you. We talked the first day with Sutter. If you don't win a championship without the fourth liner contributing, it's all about teams. You don't run a tournament without a full team.
100%. Merrick Sutter, number one, going to come on the show. And then, our second guest is from the CHL, Canadian Hockey League, Paul Krotz. He's always giving the boys media credentials, taking care of us, and talking about what his ordeal is when the CHL gets, the event's named to an area, what league gets the tournament.
Director of communication for the CHL.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, right? There's a lot of stuff going on.
He went to Laurentian University in Sudbury.
Played a little bit of hockey.
Stats guy?
Stats guy? I think he's stats guy, yeah.
He likes the stats.
This is the number one stats guy in all time, guys, all time.
No.
Beaks knows everything. So having him on the show talking about what they need to do when they come to, every town, it's either, Alberta, Ontario, or, Quebec, wherever they're going.
Well, how to promote, he's public relations, communications. He wants to promote this league, make it bigger and better.
He's giving us guys the opportunity to enjoy hockey, come and watch some good hockey and shoot our show. Fourth Line Hockey Show is going to break off. When we come back, we're going to bring in Merrick Sutter right back at you. This kid took over the whole operations of making this baby happen when it was announced.
Let's find out.
Let's bring him in. Come on in, Merrick. Hey, welcome to the Fourth Line Hockey Show.
Good to be here.
Merrick, first of all, we start with all our guests. We get right at it. Who is your favorite hockey player growing up?
Well, growing up, I'll say Tony Monte, being from, around the Hawks. But I wore a Laurie Boschman Jets jersey through my senior hockey days, so we'll say a close second is Laurie Boschman.
Wow, I thought you were joking that off here.
No, that's good. Laurie Boschman's a great guy. Merrick, when we're down here for Memorial Cup, when Red Deer got announced, I heard, everything was handed to you. Can you give us a little bit of rundown what was happening and how?
Let's find out when was it announced that you guys won the bid?
It was October 9th, 2014, so it's been about an 18-month quest. Myself and our co-chair, Ron Lerviere, at that point, we were involved in the bid, and then we sort of transitioned into the host committee, so there was really it wasn't much.
How long did the bid take?
Well, we bid for the 2013 event when Saskatoon was successful. We basically kind of took that framework and updated it, made it a little more relevant. We've done a lot of the legwork for 2013, and then just kind of took that same bid and refreshed it, I guess would be.
Merrick, what is your exact title with the Red Deer Rebels?
Senior Vice President. which is basically the equivalent of like a COO or like a day-to-day operations. Brent looks after, Brent being the president is the leader of the team and then looks after all the hockey stuff, but the day-to-day business operations I oversee.
Awesome. That's a big chore to do.
It's a big chore.
Like, especially running a junior squad. And once you get the call so you get the announcement that Red Deer's having the event, what starts happening then?
Well, the first thing was finding good people for our host committee. There's a lot of areas that are similar to every event: transportation, volunteers, sponsorship would be the three main ones. So it was finding good people, and in the first couple of months, I wouldn't say not a lot got done. Not a lot of stuff looked like it was happening. A lot of stuff more behind the scenes. And then I would say the last 9 months, 12 months, things really started to ramp up, putting more into a more operational mode in specific things. So it's been a busy couple of days, it's been a busy month and a busy year.
You got to be very happy with what's going on, because what we've seen is ran awesome. The volunteers have been great. People are really taking care of St. Beeks.
Yeah, it's I think it's my 7th Memorial Cup, and this is, so far, I'm going to say the best.
Now, Merrick, I guess after last night's big win, things are happening a little bit more exciting here?
Yeah, I don't think anything helps an event like this quite like the home team winning. The win on Sunday versus Rouen was a big boost, especially after Friday's game. And then I think last night was just sort of an exclamation mark on the season. Brandon beating us out in the third round. It was a good series that we thought maybe could have gone a different way in certain games, and so we probably didn't play our best hockey. But last night, to come back, score the late goal, and in a game where it was a tough one because we didn't have to win the game. We only had to not lose by more than 2. So it was a tight game, and once we got that tying goal, I think it just sort of everyone relaxed a little bit. And then in overtime, we started rolling 4 lines, so it wasn't like we were an all-out press to get the winner. And then it was an unfortunate turnover by Brandon, and we made him pay.
Yeah, that was a tough squad. Us guys being from Winnipeg, we were hoping there'd be another game today just to see the game. It was exciting, and the atmosphere in the rink was hopping. Beeks, that was
Great
pretty
fans.
loud. Crazy.
Unfortunately, when the last Mem Cup we were at was Saskatoon, and they lost all 3 of their games, and the fan support was, pretty poor because of the losing team. It's hard to stick behind them, but it's nice to see the home team, get right to the semis now and hopefully win this thing.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Merrick, as things are going on here and it's coming towards the end, you got a weekend left here. Have you seen it being a success and everyone's been helping over it really well?
Yeah, I tend not to judge things myself. I kind of let others do the judging, and so what I've heard from people, visitors, teams, all the fans, really, all the people that matter, it's been very positive. The fan support in the arena, around town, is more than we could have ever imagined. It's taken over the city, and it's a true junior hockey town. They're passionate, and we've really been the only major hockey team playing in Alberta in the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks. We beat out Calgary in round 1. Lethbridge lost in round 1, and the Flames and Oilers are obviously nowhere near the playoffs. So it's been sort of somewhat of a Alberta hockey festival, really. Yeah.
So how difficult was this year, not only having to know that in May you're going to be having to work your butt off to get this event going, you still had a regular season to do?
Yeah, it's taxing on a lot of people. It's especially the business staff. We sort of, because we had to, have a season and sell tickets, we kind of really separated. Not everyone was involved, but we really brought in people from the outside to do a lot of the event stuff because it was going to become too much for us to handle internally. I excused myself from a lot of the day-to-day Rebels things and let our staff handle it, and I kind of took over the core of the event planning. But yeah, it's a taxing season in a lot of ways. It's taxing on the players. It's taxing on the staff. It's a roller coaster. And, until the trade deadline, every win and loss, we're good. We're not good. We're not. We need to make adjustments. We're fine here. We're not fine here. It was a lot.
So the organization has bought you a vacation for next week?
We haven't gotten that far into planning, but I'll be going somewhere.
Well, we know a lot of agents can help you out. Merrick, we want to thank you for coming on the Fourth Line.
I got a couple more questions.
All right, hold on a second.
I happen to be involved in a family business. You're kind of in a family business. Sometimes difficult, hey, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know what?
You and your dad?
Yeah,
butt heads?
everyone always, I think any business, whether you're in family or not, sometimes you don't agree on everything. I think.
But it's harder when it's your dad than it's just your boss.
Yeah, I think the difference is probably that I think Dad's probably to the point now where he knows what he doesn't know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, we kind of just let us do our thing, and I keep him informed of everything that's going on. Especially with the event, the hockey part alone was all-encompassing. So he wasn't able to be involved in the details of the event. And so I think it's, I think maybe it's just the fact that we all share the same vision, the same values, and strive for the same thing. And so I'd say that there's daily disagreements on minor, things, and none of it's ever confrontational. But no, I think at the end of the day, you're all striving to the same goal, and so
Willie, sounds like his father's way more understanding than my father.
Yeah, big guy, he doesn't. Big guy really doesn't let this.
Are you allowed to get involved in hockey decisions? Do you ever throw your input in there?
Yes, we the way we operate the team is we have our hockey operations and our business operations, and they're run separately, but we're strong believers in communication, keeping everyone involved in what's going on. Obviously, the core information about hockey is between Brent, myself, Sean, the scouts, and the coaches. But even our marketing people and whatnot kind of know what's going on, and likewise the other way, we keep our hockey people in tune with what's going on the business side, because at the end of the day, they have to work together. Just like, like the Sutter family, the boys drafted Ab McDonald's grandson to this year in the Western Hockey draft. Godfrey's coming down here. He's one of the good players that Sean drafted this year, so he's a good player. Good for them. Now, Merrick, we want to say thank you for coming on the show, and we appreciate it. We've had a blast here at the Memorial Cup, and you guys have done a great job. Shout out to your whole team. Thank you.
Great job.
We'll be right back at you. Back here to Tilted Kilt, it's been, like I said, it's been a great run here at the Memorial Cup, and our guest coming on, this guy we met through when he gave us some media credentials a couple of years back to Saskatoon. He's been very friendly. Has treated the Fourth Line Hawk Show like champs. This guy's awesome. Paul Krotz is with the CHL, in charge of the media and all the taking care of the business, Beaks. And I think, it's great for the fans and the people to know what Paul does and all the great players he's seen who's come through the Memorial Cup.
Like we talked about earlier, everything's a team, whether it's a hockey team or whether it's putting on a league or putting on a tournament. It doesn't take one person. You just can't have a superstar. You need a lot of people to make it happen.
Big
right?
squad. They're going out tonight for dinner. He said that there's 20-something going for dinner. Taking care of the boys. Everyone working hard. Let's bring him in. Come on in, Paul. Thank you to the Fourth Line Hawk Show. Thanks for being on, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Paul.
A lot of fun.
Paul, when I was mentioning to Beaks here that, you've been pretty good to us, and your title, can you tell the people, what does Paul Krotz do? He works for CHL. What does he do?
Well, I'm Director of Communications for the Canadian Hockey League. And of course, the Canadian Hockey League oversees the Ontario Hockey League, Western Hockey League, and Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. I'm based in Toronto, so a little bit more familiar with the OHL, and some of my duties overlap with working through the media and public relations side of things through the 20 teams that we have in that league. But when it comes to the national stage, really kind of oversee all the media relations side of things, the organization, and everything around this event like the MasterCard Memorial Cup.
And a couple of years ago, you gave us credentials to come down and do our stuff, and we've having a blast. And we give a shout out to you guys. It's been great, eh, Beeks?
Yeah, these tournaments, I'm sure they're not easy to run and all the intricacies they're doing, but it seems like the host committees, like the volunteers, they've been nothing but awesome.
And the hockey has been unbelievable, Paul. Like, let's talk about Saskatoon. Remember, like, Seth Jones, like, that was a stud lineup.
You're absolutely right. I mean, every year is filled with NHL prospects, guys that have already been drafted, but that year was really unique, as you'll recall. I mean, all season long, it was really Nathan McKinnon versus Seth Jones, and you've got two teams. Drouin as well. You've got two teams that couldn't be any further apart geographically, with Halifax and Portland, that the only time that they're ever going to have a chance to go head-to-head would be at the Cup. And then sure enough, in Saskatoon it happened, and what a performance that Nathan McKinnon, he had a hat trick in the championship final, and really kind of cemented himself as the number one pick, and I mean, that's just great for our game.
Probably great for a PR guy like you too.
Sure makes it easier to tell a story when you've got players like that, but I mean, this year in Red Deer's no different. I mean, everybody's seeing the buzz around Mitch Marner, who is already drafted as a Toronto Maple Leaf, but a lot of other draft eligibles on that London team in particular. I mean, Matthew Tkachuk could be a top 5 pick, but lots of talented guys.
And you know what? And the tournament, the event is such a good hockey experience that some of the guys who you're saying like could be, number 1, number 2, like, Nolan Patrick, and that's and they can bump up their stock, and maybe some guys can bring the stock down, but this is an opportunity for an answer the bell.
You couldn't be more right about Nolan Patrick, and I think this year, he's going to be a player that people are going to look back on in a couple years and go, oh my gosh, he was part of that team. And you might kind of compare him to someone like a Mark Stone. When Brandon hosted the Cup in 2010, he was just a rookie as part of that team, maybe overshadowed slightly by the Matt Calvert or Braden Shen, but Mark Stone was a contributor, and now you look what he's doing in the NHL level, and you trace his roots back to not only his Canadian Hockey League, but Memorial Cup experience. It's pretty neat.
Guys, we talked to some of the pros, the guys who've gone through, like Rich Sutter, some other guys we talked. The Memorial Cup is a great experience, and people want to be part of it. Like, it draws people. That's why we're here, because it's great hockey and good times.
That's what we love, and I mean, this is you guys bring a fun element to it from the media side, but there's fans from coast to coast that really kind of mark this event down in their calendar, and they'll go wherever the event is, and I mean, all you got to do is walk around the concourse and see the different jerseys, and I mean, the same goes for media as far as folks from Ontario, Quebec. Some of them follow the teams that are competing, but others, just really want to be a part of it, that they cover the league throughout the season, and it's a good experience for them to come and see how hockey's like in Red Deer, especially this year.
We do have those American teams, but this is a slice Canadiana. It really is. It's like the Grey Cup. There's people who go to it every year, like you said. They don't care where.
I remember in Saskatoon, we were at the Hudson's there, and they had that one room booked off and had all these older dudes all dressed in like pretty cool costumes. They were rocking it out. And it is like the Grey Cup. People are dressing up.
The junior hockey junkies, I'm sure, is who you're referring to. That's a group of about 100. I don't know if won't say necessarily 100 come every year, but staples at this event, and theme days from, I don't know if it's a Tuesday or Wednesday every week. They kind of dress up as Elvis impersonators, and they put together things for charity, a breakfast, and really try to engage the fans. And I mean, for folks, whoever's hosting, that's new to them. You're used to seeing the people that sit around you as season ticket holders, but I think it's special for the community that hosts to see that, how passionate fans are across the country, that they're willing to travel and really kind of bring that element of passion to the game.
You can't beat that, Beeks. It's like, going on and having fun. We have our jackets when we go on one night. We have a jacket for Paul here. We left it at a place last night, but we have it for you. And we're going to let him have that. He can either wear it or, never toss it by keeping it in your closet, Paul, and maybe pull it out. Now, you're saying, you did play some hockey, of course, and also now you're reffing back home?
I do, actually. I grew up in Kitchener, Ontario. I grew up a Detroit Red Wings fan, both 3 hours from the Windsor-Detroit border. Steve Yzerman was my favorite player. Growing up playing in Kitchener minor hockey, I aspired to be an NHL player like everyone else, but it certainly wasn't in the cards. Fortunate enough to still be involved in hockey full-time with the Canadian Hockey League, but I also officiate part-time, a little bit as a hobby, good camaraderie with the guys and in the Greater Toronto Hockey League, and I've been doing that for a number of years, and a lot of the minor hockey players that come through the AAA program in Toronto, like the Mitch Marners of the world, and Connor McDavid's years past, I can't take any credit for that, but I watch them whiz by me on the ice and try to just stay out of the way and enjoy the show, but I have a lot of fun doing it.
Reffing's always a challenge, Beeks. Have you ever had any situations like in the old, like in beer leagues, is that where if you are reffing, where there's some scraps going on?
Well, not so much as I was reffing. I played beer league, so I know so I can relate to that. I know what you're talking about. Lucky for me, it's just in minor hockey. The guys are all pretty focused and determined, and things don't get out of hand. But you
got those parents, though.
The parents are. That's what I was getting to. The kids are good, but the parents and the coaches sometimes a different story. But again, just the passion we have for hockey in this country. I think everyone has the same good positive intentions, and it's an emotional sport, and especially playoff time, things get a little heated, but that's what makes the sport great.
And we've done a couple of shows on that because we're through Hockey Winnipeg, Hockey Manitoba, talking like they implement different programs for parents. If you've been kicked out of the rink 3 times, you've been charged. It's getting crazy, and and you're right. It's passion. We live for hockey. We're hockey people, and it's so good. And I don't think they'll ever dial it down.
You're now a volleyball parent, and I heard at one volleyball game.
Oh, whatever.
You were losing it so much.
Yeah, that's right. And Kathy's pulling me aside.
Your wife was going a little crazy.
No, whatever. That's not true. That is not true, people out there. Paul, can you give us one of your favorite Memorial Cup moments?
Wow. You know what? The 2010 event in Brandon, that was special. I was still pretty new in my career. Windsor Spitfires had won the year before in 2009, and this was just a stacked lineup. And the first shift, one of the first shifts, most folks might be familiar with it. Taylor Hall, who was at that time projected number 1, later went on to be the number 1 pick of the Edmonton Oilers, goes face first, crashing into the boards. Kind of a funny play, kind of tied up with Travis Hamonic, and the whole arena just stopped. And I remember I was on the opposite side of the rink and watching the replay and seeing him collide into the boards. You thought there's no way this kid's going to get up, and he did. And the performance that he put on, not only in that game, but the Spitfires kind of swept the table to win their second consecutive Memorial Cup. And I think close to 10 players from that team have since gone on to at least have a little bit of a cup of coffee in the NHL. But as you see with the Taylor Halls, the Cam Fowlers, Ryan Ellis's of the world, that was a really special team that. They beat Brandon in the final that year, so maybe disappointing for the home crowd, but I'm sure that the fans that were a part of that event can look back and say, wow, that was not just another champion, a really special, talented group that they got to witness. And again, just like we talked about with Halifax, and it's not long before we see these guys at the next level, and I think that's what I enjoy the most about it.
Willie, did you go to that one?
No, I didn't. No.
I went to that one, and I tell you that when he went face first, there was no one thinking that he was getting up. It was a stretcher, you thought, for sure.
Yeah, that's scary stuff, Abe. That's scary. How about now, Paul, one of the nicest goals, because we just had one this year, Quenneville's goal. Have you seen something like that before?
At the Memorial Cup, no. And I think that's what's so exciting about that play. It's just the way he accepted the pass from his skates to his stick to between the legs, and we're watching that play for years to come. If that's a preseason game, a regular season, never mind playoffs, and at the national stage, it's unfortunate. I think he would have traded the goal for a win. Yes. But I was fortunate enough again to see, based in Ontario, to see a lot of Connor McDavid the last couple of years, and we all see what he's been doing in the Edmonton Oilers, but as an Erie Otter, he was a truly special player that could take over games, and his speed, doing everything at the, just with or without the puck, being able to just burn by defenders. I saw some pretty nice plays from him, but not sure if I've seen anything quite as nice as John Quenneville.
I know at home we were watching, and see, like my wife goes, "Did you see that goal? Replay!" It was unbelievable, and you're so correct on the pass, taking it off his skate and full stride, continue on. It was top dog.
I'm sure Sportsnet will be using that in their advertising for the next Memorial Cups to come.
I think so. That would, why wouldn't you? Now, Paul, also, growing up in Kitchener, hockey's it's pretty thick there. It's a lot of hockey there.
Yeah, Kitchener Rangers. I remember that was, they still play Friday nights as most of our teams across the Canadian Hockey League, reserve as their home dates. I remember going with my friends right from when I was a kid with my family, and in high school with my friends, and fortunate enough to see some pretty talented teams. They were champions in 2003 in Quebec City. Mike Richards, Derek Roy were kind of the leaders of that team. And then they just fell short on home ice in 2008, right before I started, working in this position. But the Kitchener Rangers, I mean, that's one of those organizations very well known around the Canadian Hockey League. But much like again the Brandon Wheat Kings, Red Deer Rebels, London Knights, and places like that we're lucky to have in this league. But another great hockey community that rallies behind not just minor hockey, but the CHL team, and it's just outstanding.
We're big Mike Richards fans because he's from Kenora, Ontario, but he has spent a lot of time in Winnipeg as well. Kenora is pretty well the big city next to it, and played a lot of spring hockey in Winnipeg, and hell of a guy from Winnipeg.
Great guy, shout out to him.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Like Paul Krotz, friend of the show. You know what? Paul, we want to say thank you for coming on and being part of the Fourth Line Hockey Show and giving us boys the opportunity to experience the Memorial Cup at a different angle. Seeing how the real guys do it at the back end has been great, and seeing the hockey, and it's passionate for us boys, and we really appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for being part of us.
My pleasure, and Windsor 2017.
We're there, brother.
See you there.
We're there.
The Fourth Line Hockey Show has been brought to you by IceTraders.com, your online ice time connection, and Royal Sports at 750 Pembina and 650 Raleigh.
The proceeding was an independently produced community access program. The viewpoints expressed are those of the community access producer and do not reflect those of Shaw Cable Systems. The program is presented in response to CRTC policy guidelines regulating community programming.